Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast of bringing business recovery expertise to Romania. Today, we are diving into a topic that's super important for Romania's entrepreneurs. We want to discuss how they can use some really great tools to avoid bankruptcy and keep their businesses on the right track. I'm Gabriela Niță, and I'm going to be the host of this discussion. First, I want to give a short presentation of myself and the purpose of this podcast, and after that, I will introduce you to the guests. I spent over 17 years in the management and leadership area, and since 2023, I've been part of the Early Warning Euro mentoring team, and I must say that it was quite amazing. As a mentor, I work with small businesses and startups, helping them get organized and optimize their processes. My goal is to make their business journey clearer and easier using all the great tools and resources we have in our mentoring community. Now, Diana and I are focused on bringing these European mentoring tools to entrepreneurs in Romania. We want to help them avoid bankruptcy, to be prepared for any situations, and to take full advantage of the support that the WEMA provides. Welcome, Diana. I want to say that I'm truly honored to build this program together with you, and I really hope to have a good impact on the Romanian entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Gabriela, and the honor is mine as well, because I'm really excited to link the two organizations, the Women in STEM International Association, that it's a global association, plus EWEMA programs and direction for improving and helping businesses to overcome insolvency and other crisis situations.
Thank you, Diana. The first person that I'm going to speak is Eleni Tokasteka. She is a member of the Family Business Foundation team, where she co-created a report and series of workshops on future competencies in family business and the concept of healthy family business. Since 2016, she has been implementing the Early Warning Euro project, focusing and developing mentor competencies to help business owners facing difficulties. Eleni brings a wealth of experience in business mentoring and workshops management, and we are thrilled to have her expertise with us. Welcome, Eleni.
Hello everyone. I'm very happy to be a part of this meeting, and I send my greetings to all listeners.
Thank you. Based on your experience in Poland, what advice would you give to Romanian entrepreneurs who want to implement strategies to prevent bankruptcy?
Well, it's a very interesting question. So if there are some entrepreneurs who are listening to me, I will have some advices which are taken from other entrepreneurs who participate in our projects. So first of all, you have to remember that the earlier you will react to the potential problems, the biggest chances you have to for recovery and to find the solution. So we can say that when you see the problem, it could be even too late. You have just to smell the problem, that it could happen something. Don't wait, for the severe problem with financial liquidity, because it is a serious sign of the problem. Just you have to count on your intuition, and when you feel as an entrepreneur that something is not going well, this is the best moment to do something and to face the reality. So the earlier you will react, the better chance you have to make the things better. So this is the first thing. The other thing is learn something more. Just be aware that the financial liquidity and the financial skills are very important, and don't wait for the problems in this area, because when we have contact with entrepreneurs in crisis, they always talk about the money, and the money are always the issue, but the roots of the problem are somewhere else. So keep control with your financial liquidity, but be aware that the reason of the problem is somewhere in other area of your early day activity in your business. The other thing is that you have to remember that this is when you have the problems, you can't stay alone with this problem, that you have to be aware that there are a lot of other entrepreneurs who face the same kind of crisis or distress. And this is a great opportunity, and it's not a shame to talk about the problems. It can be unofficial. You can find a friend who runs this different business, because the problems are very similar even in different businesses. And just it will be not a big shame to talk about that, because behind each success there are a lot of problems, and every entrepreneur is fighting with the crises, and the crises made the entrepreneur better. So it's normal, it's a reality. So you have to talk about these situations with your colleagues. And another advice, don't hide your problems. Just talk about them openly with your managers, with your employees, because they know the company really as good as you know, and they can be supportive, and they will be even, this is a great resource, you know, for the solution. And don't hide the problems in your family, you know, because you can avoid a lot of troubles in the future. So be honest, and remember that you are not the first and not the last entrepreneur who faced the crisis. And I think this is, you know, the main thing which is coming to my answer. Maybe Morten will add something to that. I don't know.
I like what you said, because this means the power of the community. And this is the topic that we want to discuss today, because a community, it gives you the power, it gives you courage to go through every difficulties that you have in front of you. And when you have entrepreneurs with similar problems, your problem is not so bad after all. You see them differently.
Yes, and you will be able to use somebody's experience if you talk about this.
Exactly.
And, you know, I can imagine that for somebody who was always the best, who has a lot of successes, and now this person is in crisis, it's not so easy to go somewhere to the new network, to organization, to say, hello, I am the loser. Something like this. It's very, very difficult situation. So it's better to start with somebody whom you know, you admire, you know that somebody is experienced. It can be an informal mentor for you just to start. And then I really agree with you that you have to look for a support from other networks, because the community wisdom, it's really a treasure, and people are really very easily share their knowledge and experience, but you have to find the right people. So the networks, it's a power. Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, Eleni. Thank you for being with us today. I want to introduce you to another guest that we have, Morten Moller, and I want to say some things about him too. He serves as the project manager of Early Warning Denmark and secretary of Early Warning Europe Network. He is associated with Business Center Denmark, offering specialized guidance to entrepreneurs and companies. Morten's roles involve expanding the network in Europe and fostering connections among members. He collaborates closely with local businesses services office to provide support for businesses development opportunities. Additionally, Morten operates various programs and projects that inspire and assist entrepreneurs and companies, and we are grateful for his dedication and contributions. Welcome, Morten.
Thank you very much.
Given the challenges Romanians entrepreneurs face in securing funding, which lessons learned from Denmark would you suggest that Romanian initiatives take inspiration from?
I think, first of all, Eleni is completely right that that funding is, of course, an issue that affects everyone as soon as the company goes through a difficult time. But as Eleni was saying, funding is never the cause. A lack of money is never the cause. It's a consequence. There's something else. There's another factor that makes these companies lose money, and that's where we have to find out. So what is it? But before they get into trouble, before they actually need liquidity desperately, before we get to that, I think it's important to say what can the entrepreneur, him or herself, do in order to manage this situation. And there is, of course, the difficult conversation with the banker. I don't think that any entrepreneur in the world is best buddies with their banker, but I think that there's really value in being not just well prepared, but extremely well prepared for negotiating with the banker. So it's about having your operation budget. It's about having your cash flow budget and understanding them. It's not enough to simply have your accountant or ChatGPT or someone like that to do the budgeting for you. It's really about understanding every little detail about it, and then being realistic about your budgets and being cautious about the budgets. And this is difficult because many entrepreneurs are really good at selling things. So, they always push their storytelling, their products, their services. They always push it a little bit to the limit in order to sell. But you shouldn't do that with your banker. I mean, if the banker senses that you are trying to tell a rosy story, then they will be on the defensive position. So you should really be cautious and realistic when you present things to the banker, because you need them on your team. It's not about trying to sell something to them. It's about having the banker as your ally in going through the crisis. And as our mentors often say, before you get into trouble, make sure you have an overdraft facility in the bank. The best time to negotiate this facility is when you don't need it. Because when the company is thriving and making good money, that's a good time to make sure that you actually have the possibility to go into negative figures in a period of time, instead of asking for it when you really need it, because that is not where you're going to get the good conditions. And of course, the bank will be asking for collateral. They will be asking, okay, so what's our guarantee if the company goes down, and so on. And that's where it's important to make sure, okay, I shouldn't indirectly give my company away to the bank or give a share of my company to the bank. And I think, to come back to what Eleni said a moment ago, a good mentor can make a world of difference there. I mean, most entrepreneurs are not experts in talking to the banker, but mentors are very knowledgeable in this, and they can really make a difference there. And then at the end of the day, some companies simply cannot borrow money in the bank. This is a fact. The world does not look like it did before COVID, back when there was a zero interest rate. It's harder to get a bank credit nowadays. So for some, looking for an alternative may actually be the best option for them, and this should also be taken into account.
I want to ask you something. What about the entrepreneurs from Denmark? They have a plan or a budget for crisis. They are working with some kind of plans, because in Romania, this is quite a problem. Nobody is working with a budget plan for crisis.
I think micro companies anywhere are without these plans. When we get them, and let's face it, I mean, we're not talking about fintech companies or medium-sized production companies in 3 different countries and so on. Many of the, it's the builder, it's the hairdresser, it's the small cafe around the corner. I think these look the same more or less everywhere. But we help them. We help them with these plans. We help them actually be able to have the resources. It's knowledge, it's access to credit, of course, it's organization, very much, having the right people to turn around the company and not just do what we always did. And then it's strategy above all. When you ask the average SME, do you have a strategy? Many are going to say, yeah, we do have strategy. Okay, when was the last time you checked it? We don't know. So it's super important to actually have an overview of all these factors.
Thank you, Morten. In the last, I want to present also Diana Maria Georgescu because she is my partner from Romania and I want to present her to understand everyone who she is. She founded and she is the president of Women Esteem International and the co-founder and managing partner of Delta Guide Reshaping Perspective. Diana initiated the business model Business Soul to Soul, which was launched at the conference Future Business Human Business in October 2019 in collaboration with the Romanian American University of Bucharest. Since 2022, Diana has been an integral part of the Early Warning Europe mentors, bringing over 15 years of national and international management and leadership experience to the table. Her contributions to the mentoring program dedicated to businesses in need and the development of training materials have been invaluable. We are excited to have her insights today, so welcome Diana once again.
Thank you, Gabriela.
As someone involved in creating the Early Warning Europe network courses, what differences do you see in the business culture and practices between Romania and other European countries?
That's a very good question. So when we speak about difficulties in the business environment, as Eleni said before, the problems are almost the same. Doesn't matter the culture. The things that really matter behind are the organizations that are supporting the companies in need. And this we lack in Romania. So our aim here is to put together the resources we developed with the Early Warning Europe Mentorship Academy to present them to the Romanian market, to the Romanian entrepreneurs, and to make them aware that there is help around the world. And there are other organizations that in Europe at least are supporting small and medium businesses to overcome crisis. And we can do that in Romania as well. So we have a lot of materials that can tackle various topics. And we are not alone in Romania. We have the same problems as other countries have. And together with the mentors in other countries, we developed very good materials on the platform Early Warning Europe Mentorship Academy has. So they are all available to be read. There are trainings there that the entrepreneurs can follow. So at a certain point to feel more hands-on on their own business. And also there is a pool of mentors, international and in Romania. We are here to support you. There is a big pool of mentors that can guide you and support you in different stages of the business crisis. But I would like also to add that we are not speaking only about crisis. So we're speaking about prevention as well. So before reaching a crisis point, these materials and these people that we have around can help you oversee and can help you actually foresee possible crises that may arise in the future. So problems are the same, Gabriela, to answer the question, but there are people around the European context that are very well prepared. There are organizations that are helping other businesses, and that's our aim together here with Early Warning Mentorship Academy and Women Esteem International Association to support the business environment in Romania as well.
Diana, I want to ask you, why do you think it is important to bring these practices for prevention or for bankruptcy? Why do you think it's more important to bring these practices from a WEMA academy in Romania?
I will start, and here I will touch the point that I did not touch before about the cultural background. We are a very independent cultural culture, and we have an independent mindset. And we don't build easily communities. And we don't know how to rely on communities and to ask for help. And I think it's very important to take out from the best practices that the European countries developed, to know them and to start to change our mindset in Romania as well, and to rely on each other and to help each other in order to grow together. Because now I'm getting to the Women Esteem International Association motto is grow together as one. So we can do that together, supporting each other, building a community. And when we have a business problem, to tackle it with other experts, with people and companies that already have been in those shoes, and solve easier our problems. It's not needed to just to be ourselves and to talk only in the mirror with our other self and say, what should I do now? No, we can talk with other people and get from their knowledge and get from their experience and apply it in our businesses as well.
Thank
Eleni,
you. I want to ask you, because we spoke about the funding problems and the money troubles, and I want to ask you, how does AWEMA help the entrepreneurs from Poland when they face with this kind of situations?
First of all, I will clarify that AWEMA, it's Early Warning Europe Mentor Academy. So it is a system of different online learning materials which can develop the competences of the potential future crisis mentors. But we have to offer something more. It is the international network, which it is an umbrella organization, Early Warning Europe. And here, this is something more, because our organization is a permanent international organization, which has different countries in this community, with different culture, also very similar to Romanian, like Greeks. So some southern countries, so you can see that some similarities. So not only we can say that it is, the group of the rich Western countries which are rich enough to help the others for free or something like this. No, we are different, and we pass this way together. Some of us, of the countries like Poland, a little bit, let's say, we did it in 10 steps, some others faster because they have more resources. But for all of us, it is possible to find their own way to support the companies in distress. So this is the first thing. And we used here in Poland to support the others without money, without investing the money and the funds, because the funds, in our reality in Poland, it's always a problem. So what we are doing, we as a small NGOs in Poland, we first start from the passion, the passion and the belief, strong belief that such small organization can make a change in mindset, entrepreneurs' mindset. So first resource which we have, it was a trust, and it was a good connection with our entrepreneurs. And we convince our entrepreneurs that this is maybe a good moment when they can offer their experience, knowledge, and wisdom to the other entrepreneurs. And we use these people for supporting others as a mentors. So it was our first activity. We trained these people, and they were able to sit together with entrepreneurs who face this financial, let's say, distress, and they were able to build the objective diagnosis of the situation, to make an order in the company, because very often it's a mess. Everywhere is a mess. So it is possible to make an order, to structurize a company. And what is very important, during our 10 years story of different projects, thanks to Early Warning Europe, we produce a lot of easy, good, practical tools, which are available for free, which allow the company owners to structurize the company, to check the financial situation, to measure the risks, to build the strategy for this company. And all of these tools are available for free. So there are a lot of things which the company owner can get if he will find the right organization. There are even more than we have such kind of tools in in European platforms. Really a lot of really good tools which are available for free. So you have just to have the knowledge, where are they? And what we recommend is to work with these tools, but together with the mentor, because it's not enough if you will implement them yourself, because you need somebody, you need, like as Diana said, you need not a mirror, you need another person to reflect on the things you are doing. And this is what we are doing. Sometimes when we see some funds, because there are some, we exchange the information with our entrepreneurs when they can find the access to the money, projects, etc. So it is possible, but we are really used to work without the funds. That's our reality. Yeah.
This sounds great, and it's something that Romania for sure needs. And I agree with you that it's not enough to give the tools, because they need someone to make them understand what their tools are doing for their business. So yes, for sure, our followers are going to ask us about these tools, because you make them understand very well what they do, and they are for free. No, that is something that an entrepreneur is looking for free, because when he is in bankruptcy, he haven't funds for business mentoring to help him overcome the crisis.
And they will have 1,000 questions when they start using the tools, and that's where it's important with competent mentors to actually guide them along the way.
Yes, true, Morten. Okay, thank you, Eleni. Morten, in your experience, what are some key differences in the approach to business recovery between Denmark and other European countries, and how does OEMA navigate these differences? Because you are in the Denmark market and you have a very good impact on the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, totally. And we've been there for 17 years now here in my home country. So you're totally right, Gabriela. One solution doesn't fit all. And here in my home country, I think it's fair to say that most entrepreneurs, they trust the authorities more or less. I mean, there's no miracles, but there's a general level of trust in the government and the authorities. So because the Ministry of Enterprise is behind our National Early Warning Initiative, that's generally perceived as a positive thing. But this is not the case everywhere. And I mean, you highlighted the difference with Romania, and I think, the perception of does the public sector, is it there for me, or is it not there for me? I think that's a big difference. Then Eleni perfectly described the mentors and the mentoring, and I do realize that it may be a new concept and a new topic in this concept of helping companies stay resilient and stay out of trouble. But mentoring as such, we may use other words, but in all societies in the world, there is mentoring in some shape. There's academic mentoring, everything you do in your spare time, there's mentoring. It's the sports teacher, it's the music teacher, and so on. There's even religious mentoring in a lot of contexts, and so on. So we all know the mentoring role. We just call it different things, and applying it here is really sort of the essence of someone who has more experience and who helps others with less experience. And I think that this basic concept, I think it's perfectly applicable in Romania, and being a mentor, taking on this role as a mentor, it's the highest level of integrity you can imagine. I mean, imagine someone who helps others without asking for anything in return. It's incredible. And in every new country where we start a new operation, we always get this reaction saying this will never work here, people don't trust each other here, or nobody wants to work for free, or this is not our culture, and so on. And look, it works in Greece, it works in Slovenia, it works in India. No matter which new countries we go to, there is always a way of making this work, and it's about building trust. So I think regardless of these difficulties, because there are rich countries and poor countries, there's countries with more and less corruption, and there's a whole lot of differences, but there's a basic concept of seeking help in time, and on the other hand, the concept of somebody actually there to offer this help free of charge, because this is not about lending money to companies or selling services or something. It's the opposite. And I think that's something that cuts across cultural divides.
Yes, because we have to mention the motivation which brings mentors to do these things for free. Because we can say that they have no financial benefits, but they can gain a lot of other things which are important for them. They can, first of all, learn a lot. They can see different approaches to the business. They can use their talents and knowledge. They can feel this happiness when they can save somebody. They can see and observe the real change. And what is even more important, they can, because all those tools and trainings, they can really perfectly develop the personal and the business skills of the mentor. So they can do, and they normally do, a lot of changes in their own business thanks to this, let's say, observation of the business landscape. So this is something what they can gain, they can understand, and they build perfect and very interesting and inspiring relations with other mentors. So they gain really a lot of things which are not financial, but they are more they are really more important for such moment in the mentor's life. So this is what we have to add to this, that it's two-way exchange of the goods.
Yeah, it's we know that there's more than 1,000 mentors in our network all over Europe, and you're right, Eleni. It's about network. It's about also building new knowledge and building on existing knowledge. And then I would add, it's about pride. I mean, the mentors are so proud when they manage to go into a seemingly hopeless situation, and then 3 months later, you actually have a company that comes out healthy and viable on the other side. They're so extremely proud of the effort and the output that they've gained. This is the reward.
Yes, but tell me a little bit more. Than these study cases with the success of the companies, we can access because an entrepreneur needs to have an example to see how it was with another entrepreneur in that same difficulties. And I remember that when I come to Academy, I heard about a term that I didn't heard before, about business angels. And I want to ask you if sometimes an entrepreneur can see the mentor like a business angel, because I know what is the meaning of business angel, but it can be seen like a business angel, a mentor who is striking him from the mud.
I would take away the word business from that equation.
Only angel, okay.
And simply say that without any investment purposes, I mean, the mentor actually is very often this factor that makes a difference between bankruptcy and survival. And we hear from so many of the mentees, they send Christmas presents to the mentors, and they come back 5-10 years later to thank them. They stay in touch. They write little messages on LinkedIn saying, this day 5 years ago, blah blah, something happened. So they really consider, in so many cases, they consider the mentor as almost a savior figure for their companies. So yeah, I think you can actually consider them as the heroes of the business community.
Thank you. We believe that the implementation of the Early Warning Europe Mentors Academy strategies could have a profound impact on the Romania economic landscape regarding the economic resilience, the business growth, the international competitiveness, and also the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And regarding the economic resilience, Diana, I want to ask you, is there a difference between the Romanian business owners' challenges and those in other European countries? And how can programs like WEMA can help them? How do you see this?
Yeah, the question is related a bit with my answer before. The challenges are not different, and I'm telling you this not only from out of this project, because I had the chance to meet a lot of people, a lot of mentors from different companies there, from all European countries, and also from Turkey. So I'm not saying this only from out of this background or out of this business environment. I'm telling you this from my 15 years of experience in different management and leadership positions globally. I've been managing and mentoring teams, production teams in Europe, in North America, in APAC, and the business problems are the same. Even when I say that, I'm referring both to the entrepreneurial environment, but also to the multinational companies. So we are actually living the same scenarios over and over again in the entire world. And I think that the most beautiful thing is that having this kind of organizations like and this kind of initiatives like Early Warning Europe Mentorship Academy, putting all the knowledge together from different cultures and generating new tools, new presentation, new information that can be adapted, customized, but also can be, let's say, put it together as a common knowledge from different countries is it's a beautiful, beneficial way of learning from other cultures and improving ourselves and our businesses on a long term, and avoiding difficulties, avoiding insolvency, bankruptcy, difficulties with the authorities, and that we all know, because we are here entrepreneurs, we all know we don't like in any country. So I think that's the best thing of this initiative.
I really like that you say that there is no difference between Romania and other countries, because in Romania, all the entrepreneurs have the ideas that it's very difficult to make business in Romania because of the rule of the authorities. And it's very good that you pointed this topic, because in the other countries, it's possible to be the same. And not only in Romania is difficult to make business, but in other countries too. So thank you for making this
Yes,
point.
if I may add something here, yeah, indeed, people are saying it's very difficult to make business in Romania because we don't have regulations, we don't have that, and we don't have the other things. But this background that it's not very well settled gives a lot of opportunities to develop new things. So from my perspective, looking at other countries and other cultures, I don't think Romania is in a bad position. I think it still has some advantages, but it's important to look at the bright side of things. It's important to seize the opportunities and do something about your business, but also the business community around.
Thank you, Diana. Regarding the business growth, I believe that WEMA can support Romanian entrepreneurs to navigate the challenges and the opportunities, and can make differences across different sectors, creating jobs, to boost productivity and to promote at the economic level. So, Eleni, I want to ask you how the tools and resources provided by the Early Warning Mentors Academy helped Poland business facing bankruptcy, and what lesson can Romanian entrepreneurs learn from this experience?
Okay, thank you for that question. I would like to say that we are now in the stage when we have not only our organization, which prepared a quite stable team of mentors, because we have more than 100 persons ready to support the others. but we have also in the past, we have a pilot of Early Warning Europe project when we proved to our government and to other stakeholders that we can save the companies, that mentoring is the right tool to save the companies in distress. So we have behind us, we have some proof which we can show to our government. Hello, look at this strategy and this approach. It's working, and it's working here in Poland. So having those people, we are now in the moment when we share our experience with our other organization, which can also educate mentors. And now, because it's not enough, 100 mentors for such a big country is not enough. So what we are doing now, we are first of all trying to invite other organizations which support entrepreneurs and have the close contact with entrepreneurs to develop these mentor networks around them. And then we share the trainings and tools with these organizations. But first of all, we are trying, and we are doing it with, let's say, moderate success, to involve our public organizations to show the tools, to talk about the mentoring, to publish all our toolkits in their websites, but also to promote it. Because
this is the promoting
promote it. And then we can show, and we can that if they will start to do the things, the mentors with entrepreneurs, it's always give the change. It is always the results are visible, but our main challenge and the main task in front of us is that we have to share the successes. We have to share the testimonials, because they are the best way of convincing the other that this is the right approach. And this is very important what we have to do, because, we realize that all these strategies, recovery strategies, are not top secret strategies. There are very often simple things about which the majority of company owners knows, but they knows in theory, but they don't do it. So if they will find out that these things are working, give the results, that it's worth to make the, let's say, the list of the potential risks, and to measure this risk and the likelihood, and just to find solution for the most important risks, that it will give the results. So these are the work which we, the examples which we have to share with the others to show that it's working. And we need some public organization to disseminate this approach among the others, because still we think that that we need support of public organizations. That we need that to make it more permanent, not to act from action to action, from the let's say project to the project, but just to create something like in Denmark. It is a permanent system which is working, which is supported by the government, and which is public. This is our goal. So we did a lot. We are implement a lot of changes. We have our public, let's say, organization, like, for example, the Polish Ombudsman, who is interesting in our tools, but still we need a lot of talks, conversation, and work to make it, to make the people aware that they can do and use our tools, and that's it. Yeah.
You said very right that it's possible these tools can be known about most of the entrepreneurs, but they don't believe it, that it works. So that is why these study cases and the phases that they were needs to be put it on published to see that is really working. That is why we are making this podcast and all these workshops that we want to do in the future to bring the awareness of these tools, because it's nothing secret. You are right.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Eleni. About the
You're welcome.
international competitiveness, yes, the WEMA network can expand the new markets, to build international partnership and to share knowledge. And Morten, I want to ask you, because you are in this area, how do you see the future growth and the impact of the network, especially in countries like Romania, where the need for business recovery support is very significant?
I think if you allow me to pick up where Eleni ended, because I think it was some brilliant points about countries, whether this is Poland or Romania, countries that don't have a strong tradition or experience in this field that we're talking about. It's really about this first phase where you demonstrate that it works. That this is not it's not a mirage. It's really something that works in reality, even at a low level. Even if we're only talking about helping 20 SMEs and showing that, okay, so 18 of them survived and otherwise they would have gone down and things like that, because it allows you to move on to a second phase where it's about really, first of all, securing funding. Eleni is very right about this legitimacy that comes out of having public backing. It could also be semi-public, it could be chambers, industry foundations, business organizations, something like that. But very often, like here in my home country, it will be public backing. And then from this initial funding, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money in the beginning, because the mentors work free of charge. The need for a secretariat is relatively limited, and so on. So starting to build up a system that really gets to prove its value, and from there on, as soon as we get to that phase, there's a whole family of European colleagues there waiting to help. There's plenty of best practice. Our friends from Finland have done some amazing stuff about communication and outreach to entrepreneurs. Also, exactly what you're describing a moment ago, these very independent people who are not used to seeking anyone else's advice and so on. There's a lot of good European experience and practice out there to learn from. I mean, we're a family of people and organizations that share the same mindset as you do. So we can help absolutely. And there's always someone with the same problem and with a really good solution for it. And I think when you move through these phases to rolling it out, my advice is really to focus on what's specific in Romania. I actually know your content a little bit. I used to be stationed in Craiova, so
Wow.
I know a little bit about the country from many years ago. And I think one of the things that really strikes me about Romania is you have this enormous sector of micro companies, and almost all of them are family businesses. And with them, you have this boom of private enterprise in the early 90s. That means that there's a lot of senior entrepreneurs in their 60s nowadays, and these people are retiring right now. So there's a lot of business transfers being done right now or waiting to happen. And on one hand, it's an obvious focus area for a Romanian assistance service, because there is the need. All these companies could fail in their business transfer without the right support, and many of them can't pay for it. So on one hand, I think it's an obvious focus area to make these business transfers successful. On the other hand, just think about how good all these founders who are now retiring could be as mentors. I mean, you have a gold mine of knowledge out there. It's people who know everything about ownership, about networks inside an industry. They know the local business climate, they know the supply chains, and so on. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to make a Romanian service successful, there is nothing more trustworthy than someone who's already done it all and who now wants to share their experience. And that is actually a local asset to build on, I think.
It's true. I really hope to have a big impact on promoting, because in Romania is the same problem with the promoting. So I don't know, Diana, we are going to make something, I don't know how to say in English, to bring all this awareness to them and to have a big promotion to Romania.
Yeah, we are actually, that's our aim, and I hope to have on board other people or people with more exposure, so they can help us promote this idea. Because I think, as Eleni and Morten said before, we have mentors even at the public market because there are
Yes.
small businesses, family businesses, people that developed different areas of practically. Even the lady from the market that it's selling vegetables, it's a good mentor for another lady that will start on
Absolutely.
that direction.
Yes.
Absolutely, and there will be female mentees who want a female mentor because they feel they can bond with them, and this is it's a very good starting point, I think.
That's right.
You have all the resources and you have the human capital, which is the most important here. And, you know, don't think about the challenges. Think about just to start to do something. Just make one mentoring, another one, build the story around the case. And you will see that it is like, you know, like a stone which is through to the lake. You know, the rings are bigger and bigger, and it starts to work because it is really good idea behind it and very humanistic. And first of all, maybe I will add one sentence which is very important, that in our early warning Europe movement, we always put in the first place the person, the human. So when we talk about saving the businesses, first of all, we want to save the person who run this business. And our success can be measured in different ways. Behind the crisis in the company is a very often hidden the big personal crisis. And first we need to save this person because the human and the entrepreneur as a person is the most important, and he can survive even let's say the loss of his company, because he can start something new. And this is not the end of the world. So we are focused first on the person, to save this person, to make him feel again self-confident, and just to build his trust to himself, and just to make him able to save his company with his own hands and mind. This is our main idea, which is behind the supporting other in distress, because the only person who can save the company is the company owner.
Yes.
And we are trying to, so I think it's another topic which we can discuss, all these, let's say, very exciting and also very touchy subjects, like mental change, like working with the lost and other things which are behind the crisis. So I think we have a lot of topics to discuss in the future, and you know, it's very complex task to support the others. That's why it is so interesting and exciting.
You're totally right, Eleni. I mean, when we started talking about, is this about avoiding bankruptcies or is it about resilient SMEs? And in my mind, you need resilient persons behind the SMEs if they are to be resilient. And we keep hearing this all the time. You know, there's a recent case that we solved here in my home country, where actually after we finished successfully, the husband of the owner calls us and says, "Thank you, I got my wife back." But it just shows everything. I mean, you have an owner here who's been struggling with her company, and she's dedicated all her attention and every single hour she could spend there, and you know, neglecting her family and everything, and suddenly, you know, her family life starts working again, and it's so important that we look at the persons behind the companies. This is not about money only. It's also about money, but it's very much also about people and families.
Yes, so true. Regarding the entrepreneurial ecosystem, yes, the WEMA programs can encourage entrepreneurship, innovation, and economic growth. And I have a question for all of you. What specific steps can a WEMA take to help Romanian businesses become more competitive and innovative?
How many hours do we have?
Not so long. Be short.
On top of my wish list is really that when people start a company, they start their first company as a young entrepreneur, that they know the basics, and the tools can help a lot there. You simply, it will put your mind to things that you would otherwise not think about when you start a company. I think that's a good first step. From there on, there is of course the whole thing about involving a mentor, no matter where you are in your life cycle. You know, a business transfer, like we talked about, that doesn't have to be a crisis, but it can easily turn into a crisis if you miss a few little things here or there. And having the right support, the right knowledge, the right mentoring around you when you start the process is really, it puts you in a much better position for succeeding in the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I can add only that, you know, I can build a metaphor that when you are sailing, it's a big pleasure, but normally you have always to have a really perfect order on your boat, you know, just to know where are the ropes, how the sails are working, because if the sudden wind will come, you have no time, you know, to look for the different, you know, things, because everything must be in the right place. And this is how you can prepare yourself to the difficult times. And this is about the resilience, just to make an order in the company, just to see where do you have what is your capacity, where is your potential, your reserves, what do you have in your human human force, you know, employers, skills, etc. You have to be aware what do you have in your disposal, put everything in order, and to manage it not from crisis to crisis, but easily. And later on, you will be more resilient to the potential crisis, because the crisis will come.
Yes.
Anyway.
Anyway, yes, true.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eleni. Diana, do you want to add something?
Yes, I will stick with the cultural mindset. Because we started with that, and I've mentioned before that we are an independent mindset. We have an independent mindset as Romanians. And since I started 7 years ago, I think, 7 years ago, exactly this November, I started my first company as an entrepreneur. And I've been attending a lot of meetings, networking meetings, where there were a lot of entrepreneurs with different difficulties and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, I've seen there that even the communities are built to help each other. At a certain point, a lot of competition arises. And this is because of the main interest, money and profit. But this is a very good environment that IWEMA put it on market. It's not about money. It's about people that have certain knowledge, certain skills, and they are offering their time and their knowledge to other people. And from this, we can benefit, and we can have a huge gain of learning to think how a real community should function. And when we ask for help, to see and to experience that there is someone there that can offer her or his help without an interest that regards the money or something, or personal or financial interests. Eleni said before that, and Morten as well, that there are a lot of personal gains that all of us as mentors are having when mentoring other business owners. And I think that this is a very good opportunity for the Romanian business environment to learn from other countries that we can do business differently. just
that the mentors are not, and the mentors are not there to, or you are not there to compete against services by the accountant or the bank or the management consultant or the lawyer and so on. You're part of the same chain, but such a service is there for companies who can't pay. You know, they're in a difficult phase of their life cycle where they cannot pay on market conditions, because if they could, they would. You're rather there to put the companies back into the market in a position where they can actually pay for, management consultant, IT consultant, all these around the SME. But at this moment, there is no capacity to pay, so there needs to be another service.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right. And in our culture, we are not used to ask for help from other people. And we are not used to think that someone can come and give us knowledge or help or presence for free. So we can learn that. We can learn to rely on each other's experiences and tools. As Morten said before, IWEMA has a lot of tools now and capacity to spread a lot of information in the market, but the human aspect is the most important, and I think there are a lot of people willing to just to offer a hand and to put their knowledge to make it available for the people in need, so that they can be in a better shape and then pay for other services, as Morten said. But when we are struggling, we don't know where to go because we don't have money. And this can be solved now with organizations like IWEMA.
Thank you. So all of you shared some great tips, and it's clear that being proactive and staying connecting are the key to success. So let's keep learning, keep connecting, and keep growing together. We have to remember that success in business is not just about facing the storm, but also seizing opportunities and continuously evolving. So thank you to our guests for sharing their expertise, and thank you to all our listeners for following us. If you are interested in joining our community, just click to the link below and access our meetings. We'd love to have you on board, and together we can learn, grow, and support each other in our entrepreneurial journeys. So thank you all once again for sharing your thoughts and being part of this valuable discussion. We really appreciate your input, and we are excited to keep working together to make our businesses thrive. If you have any more questions or do you want to stay in touch, feel free to reach out via the link in the comments. I hope you had a great time with us, and we wish you all the best in your business journey.